Getting going here. Some people are joining. Hopefully there are no Eagles fans out there. I feel really bad. But if you're a Chiefs fan, you're very excited. Just waiting for some people to join here.
Look at us, man.
We got Kelly and Shannon.
Dang.
You guys are good.
I guess you can get a sense of our sentiments on who we wanted to win.
Yes. Football earrings on.
Oh, there you
Keeping
go.
it going.
You are accessorized.
Oh.
Let me get Mark in here.
Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm like the friend in our friend circle, the token like advertising friend. So I got inundated with text messages after, like probably midway through the second quarter, with a lot of feelings and questions and expletives about commercials. So I'm like ready to rock with all sorts of people.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Me too. I'm excited. My buddies were talking about they were talking about the Gronk kick. Did you guys see the Gronk kick?
That was really weird. That is like, hey, we're gonna try to make it feel like it's real, but also, like, I think everybody could kind of tell that was not at all real. I don't know. That was a weird one for me.
Yeah, I didn't fully get it. And then I had to look it up later, and apparently people thought he missed it, but I think if you zoom in, like, he made the kick. So I don't know. It's crazy.
I thought he.
But yeah, we're gonna wait for a few more people to join. So that we can get going.
That's too funny. So wait, so he actually made that?
I thought he missed it. They reacted like he missed it on this, and maybe that's part of the controversy, you guys, that they bait into their trap with.
Oh my God, too funny. Matt Axman, Gatesman alum. Holla.
Hey, what's up, Matt?
Yes,
I mean,
some people joining.
Bob Gronkowski in your
All right, well, I
commercial.
guess we can get
Like, of
started.
all the things that you could do, to have him kick a field goal, it's like a miss.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Celebrities all over the place, but I'm sure we can unpack it. All right, well, welcome everyone. For those of you joining, we are Team Gatesman, and I'm sure millions of you out there enjoyed the game itself, but we are going to talk about the most exciting part for us, which was the ads. So we have a great group here, from people in client relations to media to creative. So we have a wide range of experience, marketing leadership. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to go around the room and just quickly introduce yourselves. And then I'm just going to ask Mark, I'll start with you first, and I'll just ask you what your favorite ad of the night was, or what brand do you think won the night. So yeah, Mark, kick it off with you.
All right.
And,
sounds good. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name's Mark DiPietro. I lead the creative team at Gatesman. And, man, I'm going to have to consult my notes to see who won, because it's a mixed bag for me. But I'll formulate that opinion by the time the intros are done.
Awesome. Shannon, why don't you start?
Oh, I was just giving Mark a little. He passed the question.
Go,
He like bridged it. I'm Shannon, everybody. President at Gatesman, very opinionated, lots of thoughts. So I'm excited to share them. For me, surprisingly, I didn't see this coming, but like Ben Affleck won the Super Bowl for me. Him and J-Lo and Duncan, I thought it was the perfect integration of, if you're going to go with a celebrity, go to one that's meaningful to the brand. They have that with the Boston tie-in. Duncan, he's always seen with his cups of coffee on set and what he's doing. And everybody knows I'm a basketball fan galore. So I'm also giving him credit for winning the Super Bowl because of his new movie that is coming out about the Air Jordan. So fight me. I said what I said.
Love it.
Yes, Kelly Bradley
Kelly, go
here.
ahead.
I'm an account person extraordinaire. I have to agree with Shannon. I did enjoy the Dunkin' one. But my favorite ad goes to the farmer's dog. Anyone who's a dog owner, I think, could totally connect with the insight there. The end tag being, you'll do anything for more years together with your dog. So I thought that one was great. And I feel like a lot of brands just clutched on celebrities. And I appreciated that the farmer's dog, want that emotional beat. They didn't have a celebrity, but it still got everyone's attention. And, for dog owners, like, they got it. So that one was my favorite one for sure.
That was a good for sure. It was like, and
Yeah.
it was them and Amazon, right? With
Yeah.
the dog.
Yeah.
Dogs, yes.
I'm just glad they didn't get a dog in either one.
I know. That's
Yeah.
what I thought was coming. But he just needed a friend.
I love the Bush Light Sarah McLachlan one. I think that was
That
my
was
favorite.
funny.
Like the Arms of the Angels. I
I
thought
thought that
so
was
funny.
the perfect solution to
Um,
you pay all this money to have a celebrity and like not everybody in the audience is going to get it. So they found like the perfect way to weave in like, hi, I'm Sarah McLachlan. And it's like, then everybody knows. But they did it in a way that totally made sense. I thought that was a hit. All right, I'll pivot because I feel like I owe you an answer, Mike, and I've stalled enough. But I thought the Bradley Cooper
Let's hear it.
spot with his mom was awesome because it was so sort of like heartwarming and weird, and like the way they wrapped it up where the announcer was like, man, why couldn't they just say that? Like I thought that was really charming and like I guess maybe a different use of celebrity where like, for all of Bradley Cooper's talents, his mom kind of stole the show. And that was, I thought, a pretty charming and a really weird contrast because the other spot that T-Mobile did was like 100% the opposite. And that one kind of clanged for me. So I guess, when they keep it real, it works a little better in my book.
Yeah, I would say, full disclosure, my wife is a massive Bradley Cooper fan, so she was super pumped to see that, and I was like, okay, I guess, well, Bradley Cooper, whatever.
Question on that one. Do you guys think that was supposed to be the ad? Or do you think the ad that they thought of and concepted bombed so bad and then somebody came back and was like, you know what? This should be the ad. These outtakes, the inability to say the lines. Like, I thought that was kind of because to me, like the theme of this Super Bowl was, and what I kept telling people when I was getting inundated with these text messages about the ads was like, this just goes to prove how hard the one time a year where all eyes are on and people actually know and understand what we do as professionals, right? And it just proved to me, this Super Bowl proved to me how hard our job is, how hard it is to create something that sticks with a large group of people, because the ads this year, overall sentiment from what I've seen has not been so wonderful. So it made me think, I wonder if T-Mobile was brave enough in that moment to pivot and be like, what we thought just isn't working. But this stuff is comedic gold. This stuff is like authentic and real and, builds those connections. So what do you guys think? Was it real or not?
That I could totally see that happening, Shannon.
I'd have to watch it again. I feel like they probably knew going in that it was going to be a train wreck. And I'm replaying it in my head, and I feel like some of the shots were they looked pretty intentional. We're like, okay, it was lit pretty nice. It didn't look like it was a like crappy lighting behind the scenes moment that they just caught. So my gut says that they did do the whole thing intentionally. However, they all probably took a pretty big leap of faith that the mom was going to be exactly what the mom was. It's like if she would have came on the set and nailed it, they'd have been like, oh no, that was our idea.
Corey. Hi, Paige. Hi, Deb. Guys, I'm loving these comments and these friends that are joining us.
So guys, I want your opinion on something. So basically, I was with some ad people last night, so I already was talking about some of this stuff. So I want your guys' thoughts. So, Mike, when do you think that people need to commit their media space for this? Like almost a year in advance, probably. They need to make a decision of if they're going to be in the Super Bowl. You are
that's really
a CMO for a major brand. That is what Shannon's saying. Like, it's a leap of faith. You're spending $7 million on a 30-second spot. You have no idea what the creative's going to be yet. You have no idea what celebrities you're going to be yet. And I'm wondering, like, in this day and age, unless you have like a serious awareness problem, what is the benefit to a brand like Pepsi, like Doritos, who have mass awareness, and that's really the vehicle for this type of ad? What are they getting by spending millions and millions and millions of dollars for a 30-second spot that, you know, probably people are going to rip apart? So I'm curious thoughts there of like, why are brands still paying this high price, and is the benefit worth it these days?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I'll circle back and introduce myself. My name is Mike Mannion. I'm on the media team here. You know, to answer your question, I just think you have to purchase that space well in advance. You have to purchase that in the upfront. I mean, brands, they're spending, like, they're going to spend higher on positioning and, you know, where their ad is going to fall in the night. You know, some brands will have ads throughout the night, not just one spot. I think for example, the first spot is the 1A, the first commercial break, the 1A slot. I think that was Dunkin' with Ben Affleck. I think the theme of the night really was celebriosity. You know, I think brands will rely heavily on just that engagement of like, oh, I know who that is. Like, oh, that's this person, this singer. You know, I think what Dunkin' did is they did it in a very, I think we touched on this before, but I think they did it in a very great storytelling sort of way. I mean, Ben Affleck is from Boston. The memes go back to him, you know, sitting in line at a Dunkin' Donuts. And I thought they wove it together really well. I think the goal really is just that massive brand awareness, just to get your messaging out there to a massive audience. And another thing that I'm sure you guys noticed was brands were teaming up with one another. I think my favorite spot was the Will Ferrell GM Netflix spot. They're combining their audiences together to reach massive scale.
But
so,
like,
yeah,
does Dunkin' need the awareness?
For sure.
Like, is it worth them spending the money for that prime spot? Is it worth it spending how God knows how much they spend to get back?
What's your favorite coffee? What's your favorite?
You know,
coffee?
I'm a Diet Coke.
You like
Coke
Starbucks?
girl.
Or you like Dunkin'?
To your point though, Kelly, like they didn't even say, and we have a new coffee for dark coffee drinkers. They were just like, Dunkin', we're Dunkin'.
Yeah.
So I mean, part of it
So it's just
like
interesting. It's like something to think about. Like, I'm wondering what these massive spend outs are doing at the end of the day for these brands who, you know, we all know about. And is it going to really make someone start going to Dunkin' now because Ben Affleck?
A little bit about relevance though too. Like, I was reading this one article, and it was the creative director over at David and Goliath, and he was talking about how basically when you make the investment to have a Super Bowl ad, to spend just $7 million on ad space alone, let alone like what you're going to do for production or celebrity partnership, whatever it may be, you're already behind. Out of the gate, you're already behind. It's already a race. This year, it was a week before the Super Bowl. They sold out, but there was rejiggering. So I don't know if you guys saw that. There was a lot of rejiggering in terms of like cryptocurrency because of the fallout. All those guys pulled their spots. That left open space for some of these newcomers to come in. And I think that's what's kind of interesting when you look at more of these storied brands like you're talking about, Kelly. Like, why do it? I think it's a relevancy play. So the other reason why I think Dunkin' was fun was because of J-Lo, right? How many people saw in all of our social media and magazines about the look in the Grammys that J-Lo shot Ben Affleck, right? When they were caught in sort of that little tiff. And maybe it was me looking for it too much, but I thought that's what made her cameo even better, is like she came to that drive-through and she shot that look that was the same freaking look that she gave at the Grammys to him. That was kind of like, wait, what? Like, I'm the star, I'm the celebrity. So it keeps it like, it keeps it fun, it keeps it relevant, and it keeps it engaging, and in the hopes of maybe capturing some new audience share from younger demographics that are moving into more of that coffee drive-through on the way to work, on the way to errands, on the way to like whatever it is that they're doing. So I think like that relevancy play is important for those bigger brands to be like, yeah, we're here. Mm-hmm. We're a part of, we've always been here. We're not going away. So it's, I mean, it's a little bit of clout, a little bit of ego, but it is. There's nothing like the eyeballs that you get on TV during the Super Bowl. Nothing beats it.
Mm-hmm. I did I'm a nostalgia girl, so I loved the Clueless Rakuten ad. And I love my Breaking Bad boys, so I loved the ad with them. And like those, I'm like, these brands, they need some awareness. So I was like, that was a good use of celebrity to keep things relevant, attention.
Caddyshack.
So those two I also was liking those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you guys notice the Anheuser-Busch actually they ended their exclusivity for the first time in, I think it was since 1989. So there was a ton of alcohol spots throughout the night. So it wasn't just, Bud Light, it was, everything. So I thought that was really interesting. I actually really liked the Caddyshack ad with Michelob Ultra because there was multiple ones throughout the night. So it wasn't just that
one was
spot.
interesting to me because Michelob Ultra, I felt, was playing Bud Light's card a couple of years ago, where it was like sort of the hooligan party brand. And it was really interesting for me to see the Bud Light spot where the lady was on hold and the boyfriend or husband or whatever was like kind of doing a little dance to entertain her. I was like, oh, that is so charming and heartwarming and in touch. And then I was like, oh my gosh, did Bud Light grow up? and is that like them now? And Michelob Ultra is like driving the party, like the what do you call it, the golf cart with the kegerator built in. I was like, wow, what a weird little reversal. It was like I felt like their strategies got like somebody picked it up off the printer or something, and they were executing the wrong strategy. But that I thought was a really interesting evolution for both of those brands to see.
I also thought it was kind of crazy that Serena Williams was in 2 spots, and that like the brands would have like an exclusivity clause of like you can't be in any other Super Bowl ads. I feel like if you were one of the brands she was in, you would have been like, oh, that kind of sucks. She was in another one.
Could have told us that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I feel like they were relying so heavily on celebrities. I mean, I honestly connect better with
Mm-hmm.
the ones that just tell a unique story. So I guess I'll ask Mark, from your perspective, storytelling wise, what was your favorite spot that didn't necessarily lean into a celebrity, or maybe it did?
Well, I think we
out to
mentioned
you?
before the Amazon spot with the dog and the storytelling there, I thought was really strong. And, again, I'd have to watch again to make sure I don't misquote here, but I'm pretty sure there were not very many words. It was just the music and the pictures. And to me, that's what's engaging when you kind of don't put it all together for your audience. You kind of hold their attention and they're like, well, what's going to happen now? And oh, look, the dog made a mess. And then when they were picking out the kennel, I was like, oh man, they're going to send the dog away. And then, they reveal that that's what brought the friend dog. So I thought that was really good. Like so far as like story that's being told. And then at the very end, it's like an Amazon brought you the box and they just did the smile on the box. It wasn't like brought to you by Amazon. Here's our clever line, Amazon. It was just the box, and that was kind of it. So I thought that was a really good story to tell. And, I think as a general rule, America loves dogs. So that's kind of always a hit. And it's always like, man, how are you going to do another Super Bowl dog commercial? But I thought that one was really well done and told a really great story.
Guys, I have to call out the original influencer. Mikey P just joined us. So we're going to have to step up our game.
Oh, dang.
Influencer. He did the Super Bowls with us last year. So we got to pick it up. We got to talk about some things that are a little controversial.
I wasn't nervous, but now I'm a little like, oh man, Mikey's here.
Now I'm waving at people. I'm
the thing I think is controversial always about the Super Bowl, right, is like, what's the formula? And I go back to saying, like, this is like the one time a year we can bang and like kind of rag on our friends a little bit and be like, our job is hard. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's creative, but it's also hard because there's so much that goes into making these spots, right? Like we've all talked about, oh my God, there's so many freaking celebrities. And so many of those were like, just blah, it felt half-assed. Right. But who knows how many clients demanded a celebrity? Who knows how many times the clients cut the feedback or there was a challenge or like maybe both of those brands with Serena Williams were royally pissed, right, that she was in both of those ads. Those are the things that we can't control. So what are you thinking in terms of like the backstories? What do you think was something that could have been great, but had a swing and a miss and it ended up falling flat? Anybody have any of those spots? Or anybody have anything that was just like, what the hell did I just watch?
So I have a little, I don't know if this is going to hit that question perfectly, Shannon, but the one to me that in my head, I'm like, where did this start? Was the Hellmans with Brie Larson and John Hamm. Like, to me, the creative in me is thinking there's a brief, and like, okay, guys, the client figured it out. We're going to have Brie and Hamm, and those are the celebrities we bought and paid for. This will write itself. Go for it.
Yeah.
And I feel for the people in my imagination who are on the other end going like, okay, let's try to find a way to make.
Yeah. So it's a cheese.
Well,
it's a cheese, right?
Pete Davidson will save the
here?
day.
Yeah.
That's the moral. But that one was where I was like, man, how do all those ingredients come together and hit that? But yeah, that was a wild one.
Yeah, I think for me, it wasn't necessarily what brand fumbled. I think one that kind of took me by surprise was the Jesus spot. And I had to look it up because I was kind of unsure of. I mean, it was a pretty powerful spot. I think there was a couple throughout the night, but I think it was the Severant Christian Foundation. I think that was an example of a brand almost like reintroducing itself and sending a positive message, but almost connected with the viewer being like, hey, I didn't know you could advertise this in the game. So I think that to me was really interesting.
Yeah, that was definitely a newcomer, right? Well, kind of looked like you were about to say something, though. I cut you off.
One ad that I really liked, but I was like, it could have done without the celebrities, was the Google Pixel ad where they're showing all the things you can get out of your photos. And it had some good music going to it. I was bouncing around and I'm like, this is a great feature. Like, I want this now. And then they added Amy Schumer into it, and I'm like, why is Amy Schumer needed in this commercial? It didn't need her. So, you know, that's an example of maybe they already had a contract with her of something. Oh, let's get her in here. I could totally see that happening in the client meetings.
That was a cool. I forgot about that one, but I thought that one was good too, because again, sort of that, like, what's the winning formula for these spots? And it has to be, if you're going to put a celebrity in there, okay, like, what's the relevancy? Where's the product? How many do you remember? You know, remember the celebrity, but what was the product? And yeah, I thought Google did a nice job with that ad. I agree with you, could have done without Amy Schumer, but like, the ad was all about the product, you know, it was all about it. So,
and that's a product that probably needs a little bit of awareness, you know what I mean? And I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that was, you know, possible to do on the phone. So I thought that was a win.
Yeah. What about those weird, like, gaming ads in the beginning? Like, I don't even know. The one was like, I don't even know. And it was like, get your QR code right here. I'm like, don't do it.
I had to look. I had to look that one up
coming
literally 4 times just to suss out like who that was for and why. But the whole thing just struck me of like, hey, do you know the ad last year that was Breakthrough with the really dopey bouncing QR code? That was great. That was Breakthrough. It was so like, you know, when everyone is hitting the formula of screaming, they're like, nope, we're just gonna, you know, do our bouncing QR code. This one was like, they led you straight to it, and then the little graphic came up. It was like, scan the QR code. It's like, okay, dude, like, we get it. And then the whole thing was to scan to get like some sort of NFT, which it just the whole, yeah, that was a weird one. It sounds like somebody had $7 million extra dollars, I guess.
It's also kind of interesting. It's also kind of interesting too where it's positioned in the night. I mean, I feel like people are kind of just like getting settled in. They might be talking to others. And to grab your phone and scan a QR code. I mean, people are probably flipping over their food and be like, I don't know what's going on. But then as the night progresses and you kind of settle into the game itself, you know, that might have been a better opportunity to have it there when people are just kind of relaxed and almost like sitting into the game. So
that
yeah,
one and the other
that
one, it was like another shopping app, and they made up the song about something with a bit like spend like a billionaire. And I'm like, what tone deaf world do these people live in? And they did two. They played it twice. Do you guys know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I heard about that one, but didn't see it. No.
Weird, like just really crappy ads. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way to say it.
I know we were kind of talking in our group agency chat last night. What are your guys' thoughts on if you were the CMO for a brand, would you be about releasing the ad early? Like so many ads were releasing their ads last week. You know, they were in, you know, the trade pubs and things like that, you know, press. Or would you hold it to the night? I think that there's pluses and minuses to either way, but curious what your guys' thoughts are.
I'll jump on that. I would do teasers. Get your money's worth. If you're spending $7 million on a spot, you got to get your money's worth versus kind of the one and done. It's fun for the audience to see them for the first time in game. But if that's, you know, that's my budget, I'm going to be doing releases. I'm going to make sure that it's more, there's more momentum into it. So, you know, what are my offline tactics? What are my social tactics? What are my release plans? All of that pre, during, post, big time.
Yep. We talked about that as a creative department this morning, and Ian, who I see in the chat, had a really good point. He's like, yeah, that you got to like, the teaser is part of it. So you have to like tease it and then the reveal. And you know, I feel I'm like, I guess, fundamentally against like releasing the commercial in its entirety beforehand, because then it like lets the air out of the balloon and you've like kind of lost your moment. But yeah, I'm with you, Shannon. If you can like tease it, like M&M's did a great job with the Ma and Yas. Well, let me say this. They did a great job teasing it because they made a lot of noise before that.
They did always teasing it for sure, Mark.
Yeah. But that's like why you know, spend that money is to get in that conversation for as long as you can, and you can certainly maximize it with the, you know, pre and post plans.
Yeah, and I think too, like if you think about watching the Super Bowl maybe back in the early 2000s, I mean, we didn't have your phone where you could just go on social media and look at everything with the click of a button. I mean, people are so focused on just consuming content quickly that, yeah, you got to get ahead of the pack almost. And I think it only benefits you to launch it early. And then you'll also see, you know, brands that will have a spot in the show, and then you maybe go on your Instagram later and you'll see that social element as well. I think E-Trade did that. I noticed I went onto my phone and I saw E-Trade and ad came up right away. And I remember just watching that commercial. Yeah, so that was
yeah. They brought the E-Trade baby back. I thought that was a good, you know, nostalgia hit. It's weird the things that you're nostalgic for. It's like, oh, there's E-Trade baby. But I remember that he threw up. And yeah, man, we were so young and innocent back then.
One interesting thing that I kind of thought about is I think people forget that the NFL is its own brand. So they really leaned into their new partnership with YouTube. The Sunday Ticket is going to be on YouTube next season. So the NFL really relied on that nostalgic element of that very first cat video on YouTube that I think it has like 75 million views. It's one of the highest viewed YouTube videos. So I think the NFL does a really great job of just pushing their brand, and as it evolves, I think that's something that gets lost. That the NFL, hey, they're pushing their brand just as much as the advertisers are.
Yeah, that spot was interesting though to me. Like the way that they geared it towards women, because again, trying to find some things that might be a little controversial to talk about here. So we're sharing some new insight, but like the NFL does not exactly have the best track record when it comes to reputation, specifically with women. And so to go out there and put an ad that's saying, you know, we proclaim and support women in sports, or women in, what was that? Like the flag football.
Yeah. Was that the USFL or SFL, like Flag Football League, I think?
I don't know what.
It looked to me like a new flag football league, and it was like, "Hey, we're building this league. We can't wait to see where you guys take the league."
Aren't there
or take the sport
things? There was like I thought it was like United States Football, USFL league, and then there was this like flag football. We can't see what women do next, right? What was it? yeah, like
But see, that's exactly my point of positioning in the show. I mean, you're engaged right off the bat when kickoff happens. That the first couple of commercial breaks, you're focused in and you're dialed in. But then as people settle in, they're more focused on the game itself, and then the ads kind of lose their kind of messaging. So the example right now,
two different.
I don't know.
I think there's like flag football over here, and USFL is like some new football league that they're doing. That's I don't know. Not like
in the comments. So it sounds like I have misremembered that completely and added another F in there because it's convenient for me to be like, oh, it's a flag football league and it's new. I haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah, USFL, it's its own flag football league. Cool. What do you guys think the meme worthy moment of the night was? I think the very first one that sprung to my mind was Sirianni crying during the national anthem. I saw that on social media right away. It's like, oh, me on Monday morning, going back to work, being hungover. But I thought that one was immediately like tears streaming down his face. That was the meme moment for me.
That was a lot.
What about you guys?
I think that's it.
Well, I think the answer here, guys, is clearly Juju Smith-Schuster's pregame attire. He like the kilt and the beret. I was like, wow.
It was a good game though. Lots of touchdowns. I was watching with an Eagle and Chiefs fan, so I was kind of playing the referee the whole time. But it was good because we kept someone was up, someone was down. So good entertainment value rating for the Super Bowl.
What did you guys think of the holding
call?
Talked a lot
about that.
In the game. Yeah, I want to hear some comments from our audience. What do you guys think? Was that holding?
Philly people are going to come storming now.
I think it was.
I feel bad.
And I'm
that's
not a fan football.
of either,
Everyone's going to get bad calls. My Eagles fan said they shouldn't do bad calls like that late in the game.
That's.
I plug like what a lot of people do, which is like, wait, that was a football game? I thought it was a Rihanna concert. Because it had the going too. I mean, back to your first question, that stare down where it was like, boom, she's back. 7 years, like kind of not making new music, 7 years not being on tour, baby later, clearly a new baby on the way. And like she was locked in. That was another one, sort of like a I'm back, look out moment. But I mean, can we talk about that? Because I read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, maybe somebody can tell me, but like she didn't get paid. She doesn't get paid.
They never paid because of the promotion that they get. Like usually their like music sales and streams like skyrockets like by 1,000% after the Super Bowl. So they never get paid because basically they're going to get it back. But I thought it was like a great advertisement for her brands. And how she like clicked the compact up, touched herself up. So I'm not too worried about Rihanna. I think she's going to come out ahead of this one. But I thought that if you look at it, it's like, this is an advertisement for Rihanna and all of her many endeavors. So,
yeah.
I just kept thinking sorry, Mark. I was just going to say, I kept thinking like
she was on like
off that platform.
I did
freaking me out. I saw that.
I feel
probably needed that in order to get the insurance approved for that. But that was pretty cool.
Hey, I got two on that. So one is I can imagine Roger Goodell saying like, well, Rihanna, we're going to pay you an exposure and that's going to be what you need. So like that cracked me up. And then I feel like Home Depot or Lowe's has to come out with like the cable tie system that stage came up with and put that on sale. And because I was like, well, man, they're putting a lot of trust in those cables, man. Like that was wild that they were so, high, like suspended from the ground and dancing that hard. I was like, wow, that was pretty intense. So that was wild. I got like Squid Games vibes from that though. Just the costuming of all the background dancers. I was like, whoa, reminded me of that. With the, oh,
yeah.
That's kind of where my head was going.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked the halftime show, but then looking back on it, I was like, I guess it was okay. There wasn't a whole lot to it. I enjoyed Rihanna. I like her music. But yeah, I mean, thinking about the prior halftime shows, there's more like, other artists joining in. I mean, it was kind of just almost like one lane.
It was cool. I thought the talk
it
was kind of interesting too about how she didn't bring out additional performers. Because like for anybody that watched, like, I'm showing my colors here, but like anybody who watched the J-Lo documentary on Netflix about like going into the halftime, like she didn't want to have Shakira in it. It wasn't her choice to bring Shakira in. Like she was told, it's gonna be two of you. And I wonder how many other performers were told, right, that you're gonna have these types of guest performances. So I thought, again, from like her personal brand perspective, I thought granted she didn't get paid, but that exposure value, she crushed it with her product placement, with her music, with, staying in the limelight. Not like she needed help with it, but I thought that was pretty cool.
I forgot how many hits Rihanna has. I was like, I forgot about
I know.
I gotta say, I don't have a lot of Rihanna in my normal lineup, but every song is like, oh, I know that one.
Yeah, that was like the nostalgic element for me. I was like, I don't remember listening to Rihanna, but then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll add these to my workout playlist later. But well, let me ask you guys what brand won the night? What do you think is going to have the biggest impact? What ad did you remember the most? If I'm just kind of looking back at the whole night and I'm thinking, hey, what was my favorite ad and what is going to have a lasting effect? Honestly, I personally love Will Ferrell, and I love how they connected GM and Netflix. I thought that was massive. So just thinking about future halftime or future Super Bowls, brands can work with one another to maximize their reach. I think that to me was the biggest standout. While you might not think of it right away, but as you plan for future years, maybe there's something that advertisers can do and brands can work together to maximize their scale. So I'll ask Kelly first. What was your biggest impact of the night?
So
what was your
for me,
favorite
it was
ad?
the Farmer's Dog.
Yeah.
And I have known of the Farmer's Dog for a while as a dog owner myself, but I have noticed in the past few years they were doing a primarily like influencer strategy. So they get a lot of influencers to film videos feeding their dogs and give you a code, sign up. So I thought it was really smart of them pivoting for more of this awareness play in the Super Bowl. And I also feel like they're going to get a sales increase from this spot. They're going to get some ROI on their investment. So for me, it makes good business sense. They did a great job with the creative. So good job, Farmer's Dog.
Yeah. Shannon, I'll ask you, what do you think is going to have the biggest impact going forward as you think about leadership?
Well, I think those
in marketing?
Collabs are a good call out. I don't necessarily look at it as a broadening of viewership, though I'm sure it does. But I think what's interesting more is the cost savings on it, right? Where everybody's being asked to do more with less and to maximize. I actually think that's why a lot of those brands did that, is to save on their costs. And what's interesting too is the couplings. So you have a lot of like legends, right? GM. They used to always have their own individual big high production, film type effort put into play. They're partnering with Netflix. Netflix also partnered with a couple of different beer brands. So it's kind of interesting to see kind of the legacy brands like those two partner with younger, more influential brands that are current today. So it's sort of a linkage of the past and the present. Some of those didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I do think that that's an interesting way to do it. I think the other thing that is kind of a key takeaway is it will always come down to relevance between a brand and storytelling that they're trying to do and the way in which they're trying to do it. So that's something that I think will never change and will always be on marketers' minds. But I think the other thing is, you have to make sure that you know who your audience is, because some of these just fell so dang flat. One of the newcomers that I talked about last week that I think did a really great job is that Workday HR and accounting software. Kind of knowing who their audience is, who's going to purchase that type of software, how many people in corporate culture truly do call each other rock stars. I mean, that taps into something that people know, that they connect with, that they're going to remember because they can relate to. And that was a great Super Bowl spot. You know, it had high impact with the right amount of celebrities in the right way, and you knew what it was for. So I think there's some good takeaways on that. And, you know, maybe some of these rookies that are coming in here as newbies in Super Bowl advertising, they kind of reminded us how it should be done, why it should be done, and the positive impact that it can have. Don't just do it to do it.
That was one of my favorite like frames of like the whole Super Bowl. Ozzy Osbourne, where he introduces himself as Osmond. I was like, that's good, man. Like, that's a great use of celebrities. I'd echo that one. I thought that was a really good one. And then I'm with you, Mike, on the GM, you know, because you asked about impact, and that's a really interesting collaboration between those two brands. And the impact is big because the more people see those, the more people are going to accept those as EVs, you know? And like what an awesome partnership for them to be like, well, you know what, people watch Netflix, let's get it in there. And I love how they did it with like, look, we're not going to like force it in. We shan't put them everywhere. Really smart, right? And they used Will Ferrell in a way that was fun and entertaining. And I thought that was a good build on their commercial with him last year with No Way Norway. So it was just cool to see, like, it seemed like they threw down the hammer last year and they're like, no way, Norway. And then this year they're building on it and it's like, now they're everywhere. And then him dressed up as Dusty, I thought was pretty solid. And the little sister's like, you're ruining the show. So like, just to have a little on it. I thought that was, those were two like home run celebrity uses for me because it felt totally natural and they were using them in a cool way. That just didn't feel overly forced. And again, like on the other end of that spectrum for me is, you know, Brie Larson in the refrigerator with John Hamm and what was the T-Mobile guys singing and dancing to the tune of Grease. I was like, what? But it's a razor thin line between, you know, what's a hit and what's a miss. But I love how it's all on display for everybody to watch and talk about.
Judge.
Right? And judge harshly every February.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I thought we unpacked a lot of great stuff. Do you guys have any final points that you want to touch on for our audience? If you guys have any comments of what your favorite ad was or what you think has a lasting impact, send it on through. But I'll ask you guys, what's any final
until
thoughts
next year, guys, and we do this again and we unpack it and we judge. Hopefully there'll be a little less use of celebrity and more of that brand story that I feel like we all love so much. But it was fun chatting out with you guys.
Right on. I will. My parting thought will be that I'll share and admit how much I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of how much I like the Pringles commercial. Again, like I liked that last year. It like cracked me up, and this year's still kind of cracked me up. I thought they took that to another level. But that's like my guilty where I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Thanks, Mike. You did a good job hosting.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining. All
right,
we'll see you next
good.
year.